Hey everybody, this is Melina from ScrapbookingwithME.com and Me Crafty Scrapper here on YouTube and Instagram. Today is another episode of M Scrap Busters, and we are making these little bitty 4x4 like mini journal cards. Okay, so they are journal cards, maybe they're little mini art pieces, and it's made out of scrap. So I had some solid scrap cardstock in my stash. I'm going to put this cord back behind here so maybe we don't bounce around much today. I don't know how that cord gets out every time, but it's attached to my camera up here and it moves around, so then when I do this, y'all move around too. So that could make some people motion sick, so I don't want to do that. Anyway, I had some scrap cardstock, and this is just a solid, like a creamy beige color, and I cut these at 4 by 4 inches, and then these little pieces are cut 3 by 3 inches. So easy peasy, that is some easy measuring. So 3 inches by 3 inches, 4 inches by 4 inches. We're going to cover these 3 by 3 pieces with collage. But what's going to make that very easy, because I've had many people say, I'm not good at collage. I never have been good at collage. I don't do it because I'm not good at it. This is the easiest collage you will ever make. It's landscape collage. I'm going to show you what that all entails. We got a lot going on here, but I promise you this is easy. It is one of the easiest little projects I have ever made. And look at your result. It's wonderful. And on the back, because we're not going to be putting these, I'm not going to be gluing mine into my journal. If you wanted to glue yours into your journal and make it a tuck space, then you could totally do that. But I'm going to put these in pockets in my journals. And look at the back. So I have lines drawn to do journaling, and I accomplished that with our line stencil that we have available in the shop from ScrapbookingwithME.com. And I know you look at this and you say, wait a minute, you have more lines than what you have on your stencil. I'll show you how I accomplished that too. Most everybody knows probably how I accomplished that, but I will show you how to use this little handy dandy stencil by B&E Designs in a new way. So that is the back of mine. I just kind of inked it and grunged it up a little bit, and it's ready for journaling on the back. And then also on this little 3 by 3 piece, I sewed with my sewing machine around the edges of it. You don't have to do that. I just thought it gave it a little bit extra, little something something. I've added some lace, a little tag cut apart on top, and then some Tim Holtz, what collection is that? Small Talk, and we have more of these coming. They have been out of stock at our supplier forever and a day, but we have more of these coming. Y'all will have to excuse my fingers. I have been tea staining all day, so it's all in my cuticles and everything. I got to get some Clorox and get that all cleaned up. But then I added one of those little Small Talk phrases and just cut it in half onto that little tag, and I put in a brad at the top of my tag to finish it off and inked around everything. And I didn't even ink my papers that I put on this 3 inch by 3 inch piece until at the very end, and then I just inked around and just kind of dirtied it up a little bit. So to use these, any kind of little straight pocket that you've got in your journals, these can go down in. I've got a fly wanting to pester me a little bit. So look at that, how pretty that is. Great little journal cards to add to our journals. And also, if you have a tuck spot, they look nice in those too. Let me find, there was a mid-page tuck spot that I added onto one of these. This is my travelogue journal, and I have a series for that. I will link that in the description box below. Here's a, you know, just a big long bottom tuck, and those go in there well, like that. But if you've got a lot of stuff on the sides, it's going to mess that up. I was trying to find that little mid-page tuck that I had put in this right here. Look at there. So if it's wide enough, of course, you have a little mid-page tuck. Look how cute that is. Lovely, lovely. So anyways, these can be added to lots of places in our journals. And yes, my I call it the exhaust fan. I know that's probably not what it is. On my laptop that is hooked to my camera is already starting to hum. So that's the background noise you will hear. Let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what my landscape collage looks like. So easiest collage ever, in my opinion, other than the strips, like you cut your scrap paper down into strips and just add it on there. That's really easy too. But landscape collage is super simple also. You get one of your bigger scraps first, and you just kind of lay it down and cover up the whole thing. So it doesn't matter if it's something you really like or don't or whatever, just put something bigger down on your 3x3 piece first. So that's what we're going to do first. We're covering this up. So this is just a little scrap piece of craft cardstock, excuse me, from my stash that I cut 3 inches by 3 inches. I'm going to wipe off my excess glue. I'm going to move these over because they're getting in my way. Then I'm going to get my sticky scissors, and I'm going to cut away this first layer that we're putting on here. So we're making landscape collage in this little 3x3 inch piece of real estate here. Okay, and then just cut that down. Make sure not to cut your little 3-inch piece. So there's the cover, the whole cover of that. My eye is itching off, so that's what I'm doing. Sorry. Oh, babe. Then you just start layering on, and I like to find me a top piece like that, and then find your heels or your little mountains that you're going to put on the bottom. So I've got some wood piece here. We don't have to cover up everything that's in the background if we don't want to. Here is, oh, I like that. Even though it really does not go with that background piece, but it doesn't matter. You're just really using that piece to cover up your plainness of your cardstock base. Now, if you use some cardstock that's really pretty and that you really like, you don't even have to put on that, you know, base sheet that I just did to cover up your base piece of cardstock. If it's a really pretty piece, you don't have to do that. You don't have to cover it up. All right, I'm going to use a piece of this, and then I'm going to put this on here, and then we're just making some hills and valleys. Ooh, and then I'm going to do that one. Okay, so here's what mine is going to look like. I'm going to cut my piece off here that's going to go straight. Okay, and let's go ahead and glue that down. We're just making little hills, making a little landscape on the bottom half of this. Okay, and you can cut any excess off, so if you've got some that's a little longer, don't worry about it. You can cut that off after you've got everything on here. and overlap the stuff, so don't be scared to overlap. All right, and then I've got this little piece that's not as long, but it's still going to work. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom. I'm going to pull this up a little bit, and we're going to make another little heel layer right through there. Love that. And then I like that up here. Let's get a straight piece to go up underneath that piece. Let's find, if we've got some of this blue, let's see what that would look like. If we did a little blue piece up underneath there, maybe not that wide, and did that, and then had that showing at the top. I like that. So let's do just a little narrow piece of this blue inked copy paper. Yep, I like that. It's got some, and y'all know I don't like using liquid glue on the back of my dyed coffee paper or copy paper stuff, but this is a quick and easy project, and I'm not gonna be down on myself for seeing a little bitty bit of glue through this stuff. All right, a little line right through there, and put on our top little book page piece, and then flip it over. Use your sticky scissors, whatever scissors you have around that you've been using on sticky surfaces. That's what I use when I'm cutting away collage pieces that's got glue all over them. Okay, so there's our pieces cut away, and they are going in the garbage. Okay, so there is our collaged landscape, or landscape collage, and I'm going to go around and put me some inky places and then ink the edges. And I know you're looking at this and you're going, okay, but Melina, that doesn't look anything like this one. Oh, ye of little faith. Come on. We're going to do it, y'all. Don't worry about that. Okay, so then you're going to figure out, do I want to sew around this, or do I want to leave it as is? I'm not going to sew around this one just because I've got a really thick piece right here, and I'm just afraid that that might mess up my sewing needle. But what I am going to do is find my little brown fine tip marker, and I'm going to do me some little squiggly lines, not faux stitch lines. I'm going to do little squigglies, like some little just messy squiggly lines. You can also round the corners of these. That would be cute. And even round the corners of your 4x4 piece that goes back behind it. That would be nice. Alright, and then I'm going to go one more time and make a little bit more of a deliberate squiggle to kind of make that look like a really messy sewn line. Maybe little ziggy zags, but messy ones. Okay, so there you go. You do not have to sew these like I did that one. You can put your own little plop on there. Let's see, on this piece, the 4x4 piece, I got, now if you have a distress tool, that works too. I got some old scissors and just opened up the blade, and I went around the edges and made myself kind of cringy, because that sound is a little bit like nails on a chalkboard, but I can handle it for just this little bitty piece. I will take one for the team for the distressing part of this. I'm distressed as far as the sound, but I'm also distressing the edges of this 4x4 piece. So it's twofold distress. There we go. And then you're going to have little giblets. So just sweep those away. And now you've got a nice little distressed look. The little distressed square there. And see, then this one is going to go in the middle. So that is our artwork kind of aspect to this project. I love that. I'm thinking that I want to put a little bit of thread. So I've got some black thread. I'm just going to wind off a little bit of that. And then I'll have something else to put this behind. So I'm going to put a focal point of something on top of this, and then this is going to kind of be peeking out from behind. It just gives me a little bit of a messy aspect, like on that one. I love that look. Before we put this 3x3 piece on top of our 4x4 piece, we're going to flip this over. Whichever side is going to be your back side of that 4x4 piece. Then you're going to put your lines for your journal part of this project. Now, if you don't want to do this and you're totally good at freehand writing on the back of journal cards, don't worry about it. You don't have to do this part. I just liked how this looked. So, and I will show you, for those that haven't figured it out yet, how I got all of those lines like this from just this. Okay, so this is a stencil that we offer at ScrapbookingwithME.com, and you can get the lines without even a pen. So I did the pen on this one. You can also use your ink and ... and you can get ink lines, and then, you know, you've got your lines for your writing. I'll just go ahead and do that and show you. So I've got my walnut stain. I'm going to hold the stencil firmly, and I'm just going to go along the lines. Now this is going to give you a much more subtle look than what I did here with the pen. And with that pen, I just went along the lines of the stencil, and then I'll show you how I got the other lines. Okay, so you do one line at a time. That works the best for me. And if you hold it good enough, tight enough, you can go back and forth with it, but you got to really hold that down really well. Don't let the paper behind it slip at all. Okay, I'm going to get really inky here. Okay, and then another, and then, whoopsie, our last one, I'll have a little messed up spot there. And then what you're going to do to make your lines in between is just move it down. And then you're going to try to get in the middle of where your other lines are. Hold that down and go along those next lines. Go in the middle one here. Ooh, my fingers are really going to be inky. Don't y'all just love these stencils we've got available in the shop now? I love that Benji and Alicia are able to do that. Look at that. Yay. Okay, so now you see I got the same thing with my pen, just going along the lines of the stencil with my pen, or you can do it with your ink pads. So I will go along the edges of this with some tea stain, or is it tea? No, not tea stain. It's Vintage Photo. He does have tea stain, doesn't he? I'm using Vintage Photo though. Okay, along the edges of that. And then I'll muddy up a little bit on there. And then turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Love that. And then we're going to find middle. Go ahead and I'm going to hold that off to the side. Go ahead and put your glue on the back of your 3x3 piece all the way around. You've got quite a few layers on this, so give yourself a good bit of glue. And then find middle. Add it on. If you're using liquid glue, you've got a little bit of time to move it around if you need to. It might need to come down just a touch, but other than that, I think we're good. Alright, I'm going to use my messy rag. I got a messy rag, I got sticky scissors. What else? Okay. Oh, it went off a little bit, didn't it? Is that better? Oh well, it's not perfectly straight in the middle. I'm fine. Okay, I want to put my thread up here. I want to find me some little accents, focal points to put on top. And I think I might, let's see if I've got another little tag of some kind that I can put on there. If not, I can always cut myself a tag. Oh, I like that. And then maybe add my little 75-cent piece that I cut out of some paper right there. And I might need to put my thread on that side so it'll show. Okay, since I'm using tags, you don't have to use tags. You can do whatever you would like. A big butterfly die cut on here, or, you know, whatever as your focal point. Use whatever you want to. I just happen to have some tags laying around. And I'm going to use my little bitty, tiny hole punch. And some old as the hills, Stamp It Up brads. That's got tiny little prongs that work really well for this project. And I'm going to fan that out. Yep, I like that. And I'm going to ink the edges of this. And ink the edges of this, and then we'll find a little, word phrase to put on top of this. And let's go ahead and put a little bit of glue right back here. That's going to hold down our thread. And then put our tag on there. So I guess one of the main things that makes this landscape is that we did make, you know, little mountains and hills and valleys and stuff like that on there. But this is also like a landscape artist piece because this is our frame. Okay, so we're kind of keeping everything inside this 3x3 spot, and then the 4x4 spot is your frame for the whole project. I love that. I love how that looks. And I'm going to put my little torn circle on like that. And we're going to find another phrase to go on here. I'm thinking I want to do a white one this time. I did black up here. Let's do a white one for this one. Oh, I like Go Where Your Heart Takes You. That one's cute. And of course, they're too long to go like that, in my opinion. So, I'm cutting mine kind of in half. After a few words, just cut. Okay, and then just figure out where you want it to go. I have found that if you will put your word phrases on and kind of stagger them, it looks a little better. It's more pleasing to the eye when you do that. So there is another one done. See how easy that was? And I just love how it comes together. I love the little landscape aspect of it in the background. And they're little pieces of artwork for you to put into your journals, and you made them using scraps. So that's a plus. Always love that. Okay, let's make another one. I just dropped my scissors and they almost punctured my leg. That's great. That's a wonderful thing. Let's do one of these red ones. I'm never going to use this red paper again. I'm just not that big of a red fan. And plus, red does not do well on my screen. My camera does not like red at all. It would need a new filter of some kind to process this red the way it should, because this is showing up like a really true red and it's a maroon in real life. So we're going to cover that up. Alright, and I do not want to see any of that, so that is really going to be a we're going to cover it up thing. I'm going to pull this that way, and let's use that on here. I'm just going to cut as straight as I possibly can. Let's use that on the bottom, and let's use this yellowy look on here somewhere too. Just this little bitty smidge of it. That's pretty. I like that. So lots of Timmy Holtz looking stuff here. Maybe this old book page covering it up. I like that. Let's just go ahead and glue that on there. So let's cover up all of this red cardstock. Okay, and I'm going to flip this over, move that down a little bit, and use my messy rag to distribute that glue around so everything sticks well. Okay, then sticky scissors and cutting that off. Okay, let's get some old book page onto this one somehow. I like that, and I'm fine with it being sideways. And maybe that down there, and maybe that at the very tip top. I like that at the very top. And we might need a little bit of something right behind this one. Let's get something that is not just brown to kind of lighten that up a little bit. Let's do this. Won't need that much. Let's do a little smidge of that, and then that over the top of that. I like. So let's go ahead and get this dictionary page down. I just like to squiggle my glue and lay it down. Squiggle glue and lay down again. I'm telling you, this is the easiest kind of collage to do. And I mean, I've heard people say, well, you're covering up what you just put on there. Well, you know, we're going to be just letting it sit in a craft pile forever. You just want it to sit there. It's scraps of paper. It's okay. Cover it up. Do whatever you would like. But don't just let it sit there and never use it. That would be a tragedy. You know? Okay, and then I think I'll add that in there. And then whatever we put on top of this one, maybe we'll cover up that. We might put a piece of lace right down that way. And let's get that up and go right along the tip top and put on this Timmy Holtz piece. Y'all can thank Julie for that. She got me calling him Timmy. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm going to flip it over and use my sticky scissors to get the excess off. Okay, and to finish that out, I'm just going to add this little bitty piece that I cut off of that book page part right there. Okay, and flip that over and cut that excess off. That works. Pretty. Okay, and then use my vintage photo and go around all of my edges. Yep, and then kind of dirty up that white core that you got whenever you tear the paper. Nice. And then let's find something to go in the middle of this one. I like this map tag. That is pretty. I like that. So let's use that on there. That's got some green in it, so it really goes with that. Let's get a piece of trim or lace or something to go on here. I like this. And maybe add it on the edge somewhere. It's like a gray color. And then have it hang off just barely. I like that too. So let's see what we're looking like here. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay, and on this one I am going to sew around my edges. So I'm going to get my walnut stain and go around this tag. And we're going to punch our hole. And do I have a gray? Oh yes, I do. A gray brad to kind of match that lace that we're putting on there. I like that. Okay. Little set of 3 tag landscape collages. I love this. Okay, I'm going to put that there. We will figure out what words we want to put on there after I sew around this. I'm going to sew around it, be right back. Okay, so here is my sewing around the edges of it, and I'm going to get my tails of my sewing. I'm going to kind of sew that together, tie it together, even though I did do my back stitch and it's not going to come apart, but I just like the look of tying the two ends together where you start and stop on your sewing. And if you've got enough thread there, you can tie a little bit of a messy bow like I did. Okay, and then I'm going to cut these pretty much the same length, and then they'll kind of hang down into this project like that. I love that. And we can have them hanging over the top of our tag. That will look good. So let's go ahead and glue our tag on. And then I'm going to use some Fabrifix to glue on my lace trim. Just one little line of Fabrifix. And then my gray lace trim, and I want it to come over some so that you can still see my sewing, my messy amateur, looks like a 3-year-old did it, sewing. Okay, and then we got to figure out what word phrases. Now, if you have some printables that you've bought from somebody on Etsy, feel free to do that. I just really love how skinny, started to say thin, how skinny these Tim Holtz ones are. I think I'm going to use black on this one. The journey is the destination. I partly agree with that. I love the journey in itself though too, but it's a cute saying. So let's do the journey this way. The journey is, and kind of do our destination part a little slanted that way. And that kind of goes right along with that map tag that we use there. I like that. I really like that. And then let's get our 4x4 piece and mess up the edges with our old scissor blade. And I think this one would look nice with a little bit of splattering on it. So I'm going to move my threads out of the way and get the Picket Fence Distress Spray from Tim Holtz and do just a few little dots of white on there. That finished it just like I like it. Okay, I'm going to get my stencil, turn this over. I'm just going to use my pen for this one and line it up like I want it and just go along the line in the stencil. And your writing lines do not have to be perfectly straight. No worries. Okay, and then just pull down and get kind of in the middle of your other lines. No measuring. Don't get out your measuring tape for that. Just kind of move it and go. I'm giving you permission. Don't measure. Just do. Okay. There are our lines for the back of our journaling cards. And then I'm going to do some walnut stain ink around the edges. And that's going to get a little bit more of that frayed stuff off of there too. And then kind of dirty up a little bit. That is kind of like grit on a mat. I can't stand it, so I have to get that off. And then I'll have to get out my wipes and clean off my mat as soon as this video is over with too, to get all that off of there, because I can't stand it. I love the look that running your scissor blade up, you know, on the edge of your cardstock. I love that look, but the mess that it leaves behind is a little off-putting for me. So I'll have to deal with that. I've got to use my heat tool to dry this, so give me just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, got that dry. Now I need to add my glue to the back, and I go over my sew lines really well, just so those get adhered down. And then I don't need to really press on the middle of this too much. I'm waiting for all of that white splatter paint to dry and make sure my lines are going in the right way, in the right direction, before I really press this down, because it's a square piece of art. So if you're not looking, you might put something down the wrong way if you've already drawn your lines on the back, you know. Okay, and my little pieces of the sew string, and then I'm just going to use my messy rag and press down really good to make sure those sew lines don't come up, and then I'm not getting the paint anywhere that I've splattered on there either. So that is the Scrapbusters today. We are making these beautiful landscape collage framed art. But they're journal cards to put in our journals. I love these. I love how they turned out. If you make some of these, make sure to use the hashtag #Scrapbusters so that I can find you, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Use that hashtag, and I would love to see your projects and your collaged landscape collage journal card, frame journal cards, whatever they are. I would love to see them. So drop that tag so I can find you. Y'all have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next video. Love ya. Bye, y'all.